What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dell on Movies. Of course, I am Dell, and we are ranking the top 10 movies of 2010 this time around. This is a series where we're ranking the top 10 movies of every year since 2000 through 2025, and we're going to culminate with a big list of the best movies of just that era. So we're going to go ahead and get started with my number 10 movie for 2010, and that one is the vampire movie Let Me In. This one is a remake of Let the Right One In, which was near the top of my list for another year. And it's very rare that I think the remake is just as good, pretty much. And that's what we have here with this film. The premise is the same. We got a little boy who gets bullied a lot, and there's a little girl who's just moved into his neighborhood, his apartment complex, and she is always outside in the snow, barefoot, and she's got an older guy living with her that we might be her dad. And then the movie just kind of goes on from there. It's they say it's a retelling of the novel that the first movie was based on also, and it functions pretty much the same. There are a couple of things that are moved out of place from the first movie, and they work really well here. So, yeah, definitely check out this one. I mentioned this in the other video when I talked about the other movie. If you are a person who is not into subtitles and but you still want to see the story, Let Me In is a more than reasonable facsimile of the first movie. It is very, very good. And that's going to bring me to my number nine movie. And in the number nine spot, we have our first of two animated features. And this one is How to Train Your Dragon. This is the first of what I think is one of the best animated trilogies ever made. We meet our hero here, and of course his dragon, and that's not really his dragon at the beginning of the movie. And if you're familiar with the story, uh, you know that, and you may be really familiar with the story because the live action version just came out last year, and it was also really good. And I really enjoyed that as well, maybe even as much as this one. It's an excellent film, so you can check that one out if you're one of those heartless souls that can't enjoy animated films. But if you can, this is an excellent way to go. One of DreamWorks' best movies, in my opinion. And I will put it up against just about anything else in their catalog and even in most of the Pixar catalog. It's that good, in my opinion. That's my number nine. Moving on to my number eight is a horror comedy, and this one is Tucker and Dale versus Evil. And yeah, we gotta show off the steelbook. We got a couple steelbooks actually on this list. The best picture, that picture is cool. It's really really busy, but the best picture for me is just the simple beer can right there on the back. I think there is a little bit going on in the middle for those who care about that sort of thing, and we get some more artwork in there. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. This is not an unboxing, but Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Uh, I I mentioned this when I was talking about Black Dynamite for 2009. That I'm into movies that are they're spoofs, they're meta, but they really love the genre that they're spoofing. And they're really pretty good at it. And this movie is all of those things. It spoofs basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre type movies where we get a group of people, even Friday the 13th. I would say it's Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, mostly Friday the 13th. I take that back, where we got a group of kids on spring break, and there's these hillbillies that they're not really sure about. They think they're kind of sketchy, and sure enough, the campers start dying one by one. But what we know is that these are a bunch of hilarious accidents, and it is just such a blast watching Tucker and Dale versus Evil. If you are into Friday the 13th movies or Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies like and Wrong Turn, that kind of thing, and you don't mind seeing them made fun of, Tucker and Dale is definitely the way to go. And that's going to bring me to my number seven movie. Not a lot of laughs to be had in this movie. We're just going straight horror this time. Maybe some people might call it a thriller, but it is very gory, uh, and very in your face with his violence. And that movie is I Saw the Devil. This is a Korean film, and in it we got a guy who's like a Secret Service agent of sorts. At least that's what it appears to be at the beginning of the film. And he's working. His wife is, she's just kind of out and about, and she's having some car trouble, and she calls him about it. And while they're on the phone together, she is murdered brutally. And he decides that he is going to exact his own revenge, and how he does it is crazy. And by the end of the movie, you're not real sure if there was a winner in this whole thing, whether he comes out on top or the bad guy comes out on top. And you have to see it to understand what I mean. Just know going in that it is one of the more brutal films that has been released that I've seen anyway, as far as horror goes. Because there's really no, it's not hyper stylized like in a lot of movies, and there's really no joy to be had here. Not much joy, I say, in a way, that this is a fun movie. You know, I really love the movie. So I Saw the Devil gets my number 7. That brings me to my number 6. My number 6 is Winter's Bone. This is the very first movie that I saw Jennifer Lawrence in, and she was amazing in this film. The premise is she's a teenage girl. I think she's 17. She might be 18. She's been taking care of her family most of her life, especially the last few years. Mom has been sick. She's got younger siblings that need care, and she's been doing all that work. Dad is a deadbeat, and he's been missing. And lo and behold, she gets a knock one day at the door, and basically saying that, hey, we need you to help find your dad. Otherwise, the house that you guys are living in is going to be foreclosed upon, because he put it up for as collateral when he was posting bail. So she's someone, or she goes out on her own to look for him. Later on, she finds an uncle to help her look for him. And it's just a harrowing tale, and really really interesting look at a young woman who has already taken on a bunch of responsibility, and now has is taking on even more, because the weight of the world is quite literally on her shoulders. And she is just Jennifer Lawrence is just awesome in this movie. And it's interesting because the same year we also got a movie that did not quite make my list. Stay tuned for the honorable mentions. um, but True Grit, the Coen Brothers, they remade the John Wayne classic during the same year, and it's a good movie. It's a really good movie, taking nothing away from that film, but with a very similar story. I think Winter's Bone might even be a better remake for True Grit, because it takes place in modern times and it updates everything. Um, Still see True Grit because it is an amazing film, but Winter's Bone is what is sitting at my number 6. Number 5, we have another steelbook, and this one is Inception. This is one of the more plain steelbooks because you got that. You got some things here on the back, and inside it is completely naked, but that does not take anything away from the film. It is a brilliant, brilliant film. Christopher Nolan playing as he likes to do with time. And in this case, we get a sort of time travel, but we're inside someone else's dreams. And throughout the movie, we get some iconic shots of the city basically lifting up on itself, and folding over on itself, and we get the rotating room fight. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, outstanding in the movie and in that scene. Of course, Leonardo DiCaprio in lead role. Um, Everything about it just works. At one point this was a higher on my list even, and it's not that it's went down in my estimation. It's just that the other movies went up in my estimation, and that's okay. Um, Inception, definitely see this movie. The headiest movie on this list for sure. They're definitely the one that's going to make you think the most. Um, don't let that. scare you away because I know sometimes we don't like to think when we're watching our movies, but Inception is one where it does make you think and it gives us things to talk about after the film with the people who watched it with us or have just seen the movie. And that's why it's at my number five. My number four is another foreign film, another Korean film, second one on the list. And this one is not a horror film. It's called Poetry. It's the only movie on the list for this year that I do not have. It is just brilliant, and I'm gonna be honest with you guys. If I get to watch this movie again, there's a very good chance that it will go in my rankings, not down. I just feel that strongly about this film. In it, we get a young girl who has committed suicide, and I think she's committed suicide. It's been a while since I watched it, but I think she's committed suicide. She's definitely raped, and uh, we got a couple of young men who are responsible, and one of them is the grandson of our main character. And the way things are handled in this movie, I mean, it's a little different, a lot different, I should say, where basically all the parents of the boys responsible are dragged into a meeting, and they all agree to pay some sort of financial restitution to the victim's family. And our main character, the grandmother, she does not have the money that is agreed upon by everyone, so she has to scrounge it up the best way she can. And all the while, her grandson is very clearly an ingrate. He's living with her, and he's an ingrate for sure. But nevertheless, she's trying to scrape this money together any way she can, and that's what we watch. And at the end, we we feel for her, and we love what she does at the end of the movie, even if it may not be the thing that a lot of us have the courage to do. She does, and I'm just gonna say, see the movie, and then let's talk about it because I think it's that good, and it gets my number four spot. That moves us up to the number three, and for the number three spot, we get Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and this movie is one of those cases where I don't think it's better than the movies behind it necessarily, but it is more fun and it is nostalgic and it is just a blast to watch. Uh, we this is for me, this is like Michael Cera's last hurrah because we haven't really seen a lot of him since, and I blame Jesse Eisenberg for that. I think Jesse Eisenberg came along and stole his thunder. Let me know what you guys think out there in the comments about that because I've just always felt that way. But anyway, Michael Cera is great here, and he is Scott Pilgrim, and he's dating Ramona here, and she has a serious history, and so his job is to well, after he starts dating her, he is told that he has to fight her seven deadly exes, and they keep popping up just out of nowhere, just ready to fight. Just no words, or a few words, but no, nothing, no premeditating factor other than they dated her at one point, and the whole thing is presented like a video game, and we get one of the best fictional bands that there ever has been, Sex Bob, and I think that's how you say the name. Um, it's just a riot from start to finish for me, especially if you grew up in the 80s and 90s and were playing video games at that time. You'll get a lot of references to those things, and yeah, they just tickled me pink when I watched those. So Scott Pilgrim gets my number three. That moves me all the way up to my number two. And like Scott Pilgrim, it is actually based on a comic book property or graphic novel property, and or but this one, my number two here is Kick Ass. And I love this movie. I know some people don't, but I love this movie. We get Kick Ass is actually the hero's name, and he's basically he's had enough, and he decides he wants to be an actual superhero, And keep in mind, he is a very regular person. This is not some type of origin story where he gets bit by a radioactive anything. There's no science experiment gone wrong to give him powers. None of that. He's just a teenage kid and deciding he's going to go out and fight some crime, dressed up as a superhero. And we meet some wild characters along the way. I'm going to pull this back up because these two characters are the ones that really, really sell the movie for me even more. And right here is Hit Girl, Chloe Grace Moretz, who's just this is one of her best performances. She's outstanding, and her dad at this time she's really young too. Her character I think is supposed to be like 11 or 12, and she's not much older than that in real life at the time. And her dad is Nicolas Cage playing a character named Big Daddy, and Big Daddy and Hit Girl, especially Big Daddy though, he's doing Adam West from City's Batman all the way, and they're spoofing that between the two of them, and they do such a great job. And I grew up on that show, so that tickles me. That I've said tickles me twice this video. That's crazy. But anyway, I really really enjoyed that. And then the violence is just so crazy, so over the top, uh, bloody, gory, and just wild. And a lot of it is done by young Chloe Grace Moretz as Hit Girl, and I really 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 love this movie. That's why it gets my number two. Aaron Taylor Johnson, by the way, plays the main character. He's gone on to a lot of good things, and I'm glad to see that. Before we move on to my number one, stay tuned. As always, at the end of these videos, I have a set of honorable mentions that will pop up. So maybe if the movie that you love is not on my top 10, maybe it's one of my honorable mentions. Feel free to, in the comments, go ahead and drop whatever your top 10 is, or your top five, three, top one, whatever you want to do. Tell me how good or bad my list is, and we will definitely chat about it. But now let's get to that number one movie, and this is my other animated movie of 2010, and this one is Toy Story 3. It is the perfect end to the trilogy, and I'm still book time again, by the way, but just moving it a little closer. I'm not sure if you can tell, but we got what's going on here. I'm guessing we're calling this D-Boss because it goes inside, and that's for all of that in the middle. And we get back here is the engine that drives the entire movie, and this is Lotso. He is the best villain in the franchise, and one of the best villains of this entire era. I'm being so honest. I'm not joking. So if you haven't seen Toy Story 3, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Go watch this movie. I remember going to the theater and watching this movie, and I was more enthralled in the movie than my kids, who supposedly the movie's for. um, the incinerator scene is all I'm gonna say. If you know, you know. If you don't, go watch it. Just a quick thing on the steelbook, by the way. We got a whole lot of disc in here, so I'm not gonna take all that out. But yeah, we got that's what's happening inside and on the back. But anyway, it is a perfect ending, and I would have been fine if they left it at three. And I know we have Toy Story 5 getting ready to come out. I'm not one of those people who hate Toy Story 4 just because it exists, which is there are a lot of those people. I actually love Toy Story 4. I think I really look like it. I don't think there's a bad Toy Story movie at all. To be honest with you, they're all at least an 8 for me, and Toy Story 3 is most definitely a 10 out of 10. Great, great movie. My number one of 2010. So honorable mention is going to start right after I say this. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you've been here before, thanks for hanging out with me again. Bye bye.